So I recently came across this conversation. Have a look at it. The Redmi Note 7 Pro has the same camera sensor that the OnePlus 7 and 7 Pro will have, while the Realme 3 Pro has the same sensor that the OnePlus 6 and 6T have. So obviously the Note 7 Pro's camera is better, right? Well, guess what? Even the Poco F1 and the Pixel 3 have the same camera sensor, guys. Doesn't mean they're equally good, because it's not just the sensor that matters. There is the ISP or image signal processor, which is not the same on all three phones. And then there is the difference in the quality of lenses used by these phones. And then there is software processing, which varies by a lot from phone to phone. So concluding that one of them is better than the other without actually testing them is misleading. Anyway, in this video, we're gonna do a detailed camera test between both phones. Let me quickly introduce myself before that. My name is Ashwin Sundar. This is Technology Jock. Kindly subscribe to the channel and more importantly, press the bell icon for regular tech updates. Guys, if you own a Realme 3 Pro or Note 7 Pro, or if you're planning to get one, our sponsor Glazed Ink offers the best display protection for it. There is a full glow edge-to-edge glass, and then there is a real curved glass with actual 2.5D curved glass along the edges. Their real curved glass for the Poco F1 is the best in India right now, and they're introducing the same for the Realme 3 Pro now. You won't get that awkward gap on the sides which you get from installing most other tempered glasses in the market. They are available for a lot of other phones as well, including the latest Galaxy A70. So check out Glazed Ink, link is in the description, and don't forget to use the promo code TJOCK to get 10% discount. Guys, just a quick note, if you don't understand photography terms like dynamic range, highlights, shadows, and how sensor size is related to image quality, etc., then please watch this video. I've explained everything in very simple terms. I guarantee you, after watching it, you will understand camera comparisons thoroughly. Every camera comparison, not just mine. Now let's begin with pictures shot during daytime. A lot to talk about here. The most obvious difference is the saturation. The Realme 3 Pro's image is oversaturated, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. In some cases it looks really good. And guys, this was not shot with Chroma Boost on. If you turn on Chroma Boost, it bumps up the saturation even further and makes everything look very unnatural. And guys, even if Chroma Boost is disabled, there is this AI scene recognition in settings. If that is enabled, everything still looks kinda unnatural. Here, the color of the wall is completely messed up. Same here. If you are someone who prefers a natural look, if you want the pictures to represent how you saw the scene exactly, then the Redmi Note 7 Pro gets the job done. Anyway, no matter which mode it is, the dynamic range is better on Realme 3 Pro's images. You can see more of the sun here, more of the trees, so both highlights and shadows are handled really well by the Realme 3 Pro. Same here, look at the sky. In terms of sharpness, both are very similar in most cases, but in extreme conditions like this, since the Realme 3 Pro images have higher dynamic range, the shadow details are amazing. Just look at this. Forget the oversaturation, just look at the amount of details on the Realme 3 Pro's image. It's worth noting that the Realme 3 Pro has a 16 megapixel rear camera, while the Redmi Note 7 Pro has a 48 megapixel rear camera, but by default, the Note 7 Pro clicks pictures in 12 megapixel resolution. But guys, I've shown it in my previous videos, there is not much difference between 12 and 48 megapixel pictures. A little bit of software trickery is involved, so in most cases you can't notice any difference. The Realme 3 Pro also has a 64 megapixel mode, which is completely software based. It's not actually 64 megapixels. Anyway, here are some comparisons. 48 versus 64 megapixel images. Now, even if it's fake, it manages to capture more detail sometimes. You can read that piece of text on the Realme 3 Pro's image. And in some cases, the Note 7 Pro captures more details. So yeah, forget about this mode. It's not really something you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is the low light performance of these phones. This is Xiaomi's night mode versus Realme's nightscape mode. To be frank, both of them do a really great job. If I have to pixel peep and find out some differences, well then here are some. The Note 7 Pro gets a slightly brighter output at times, like here, look at the tree, the wall below, everything's a little brighter. But when we zoom in, we can see that there is some loss in detail. The wall looks kinda smudged up. Same here. But this is something I came across very, very rarely. I'm telling you again, these photos look almost identical to each other. Both phones perform incredibly well under low light. Way better than other phones in this price segment, that's for sure. Now, how about Google's night sight mode? Yes, Camera to API is enabled by default on both phones, so it is possible to install Google Camera, that's good news. But it's not a quick process. You need to change a few settings. Here's a video explaining how to configure it properly on the Realme 3 Pro. Check it out. Now, these were shot with night mode off. Again, the quality is similar. If you look very closely, in some cases, the shadow details are better on the Note 7 Pro's images, as in the darker regions of the image are slightly brighter. And guys, there is actually one noticeable difference. And it's not in the image quality, it's in the shooting experience. While clicking pictures on the Realme 3 Pro, I couldn't get it to focus on the subject easily. It happened quite a few times, especially in low light conditions. The Note 7 Pro was easier to handle. This will probably be fixed via an update, but just keep this thing in mind. Let's now move on to portraits. Both phones have a 5 megapixel depth sensor to help capture these portrait mode pictures. Once again, the Realme 3 Pro images are oversaturated. My friend here looks very orangish, and the images have better dynamic range. Look at the sky and look at her hair and t-shirt, they are all brighter. But when it comes to edge detection and background blur, the Note 7 Pro is better. There are very little blemishes near the edges. It's definitely more accurate than the Realme 3 Pro's portrait. And the background blur can be adjusted after clicking the portrait on the Note 7 Pro. There are other fancy features too, like these different bokeh effects which are quite cool, and some studio lighting effects. When it comes to selfie portraits, a lot of things change. The Realme 3 Pro doesn't really oversaturate the selfies. The color reproduction is actually quite good, better than Redmi Note 7 Pro selfies for sure, because the Note 7 Pro selfies have a bit of pink tint. And by the way, there is no HDR option on both phones for selfie portraits, but still there is a significant difference in dynamic range. Look at the sky, it's completely overexposed on the Note 7 Pro selfie. When it comes to sharpness though, the Note 7 Pro is better despite having only about half the resolution of the Realme 3 Pro selfie camera. For regular selfies, both phones do provide an option to enable HDR, but it's kinda pointless on the Note 7 Pro because it doesn't make a difference anyway. Look at the sky behind me in all these pictures. It's completely overexposed, at least partially overexposed. The Realme 3 Pro selfie have it retained. We can see most of the details in those bright regions, as in the highlights. By the way guys, I didn't include Google camera samples in this comparison. I made a dedicated camera test for that. Here is the video. Realme 3 Pro G-Cam versus Redmi Note 7 Pro G-Cam. Check it out. Next up, video recording. Both phones support 4K. In terms of quality, there is not much difference. The shadows or the darker regions are slightly brighter on the Realme 3 Pro's footage. The main difference is in the frame rate. The Note 7 Pro often skips frames due to some sort of CPU throttling. Here's a video I made about the whole problem. Go watch it to find out more information about it. So yeah, for videos, I prefer the Realme 3 Pro. Both phones can capture slow motion videos at 120 frames per second at 1080p resolution. That's something you don't find on many phones under 20,000 rupees. Both look similar, the quality is fine, but once again, the Note 7 Pro slow motion footage has less frames. It's supposed to capture 120 frames every second, but it captured only 109 frames on average. While the Realme 3 Pro captured 118 frames, which is a lot better and smoother. There is also a 960 FPS slow motion option on the Realme 3 Pro at 720p resolution, but guys, it's not actually 960 FPS. There is some software trick involved and it doesn't look good. You can clearly see the footage is very jittery. It's getting stuck continuously. It's actually misleading to call it 960 FPS. I'll make a video on it if you guys are interested. Time for final verdict. Well, it's not gonna be easy, because in almost all cases, both phones have their own set of pros and cons. Like in portraits, Realme 3 Pro gets the dynamic range right, while the Note 7 Pro gets the edge detection right. In good lighting conditions, the Realme 3 Pro gets you a more saturated look, while the Note 7 Pro gets you a more natural look. Realme 3 Pro clicks better night mode images, Redmi Note 7 Pro clicks better regular low light images. Note 7 Pro selfies look sharper, but the colors and dynamic range are better on the Realme 3 Pro selfie. Note 7 Pro has frame rate issues while shooting videos. Realme 3 Pro has focusing issues, especially under low light. So go through the comparison again, have a look at the pictures. It's more about personal preference here than what is better. If you prefer a more saturated look, if you want that high dynamic range in all photos, then the Realme 3 Pro is for you. If you want more natural looking images, natural looking portraits with good edge detection, those fancy features like bokeh effects and stuff, then the Note 7 Pro is for you. Don't forget to post in the comment section which phone's camera performance impressed you the most. This is one of the most detailed camera comparisons I've ever made. So if you appreciate the efforts, please hit that subscribe button and more importantly, press the bell icon. Thanks a lot for watching. And by the way, a very happy Mother's Day to all the super women and bat women out there. So that's it guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Ashwin Sundar here. See you in my next video. Bye.